guys. First of all, thank you for coming back and watching A2 the show with us. We have the esteemed Darlene Greene with us. I am pronouncing it correctly, right? Darlene Greene.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I always have to make sure. Darlene Greene is a retired U.S. Navy commander, master foundation cell activation technology consultant, and co-author of the 2024 bestseller "Become Empowered: Echoes of Grace and Strength." With over 26 years of leadership as a military-based commander, she is passionate about helping people improve their health using cutting-edge technology. After discovering a non-invasive treatment that significantly improved her husband's early Alzheimer's symptoms, she now shares her this breakthrough, which supports everything from reducing pain and inflammation to boosting energy, healing, and reversing aging. Now, first of all, the main thing that struck me out when we found, like, we were researching about you, Darlene, was you're basically curing Alzheimer. I know I'm like saying it.
No, I
I
would
don't know if
never
it's
say
actually
that.
curing. Yeah,
No,
I
no,
might,
no.
I might be, I'm throwing it maybe over the top, but that's what it feels like. That's what it sounds like. I don't know. Please explain to us what is going on.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. So I have to start off by saying we don't treat, cure, prevent anything. Having said that, we take care of a lot of symptoms of a lot of things, probably everything. I don't know that there's anything that we have not assisted in helping with symptoms of. And that ranges from autism, which I heard you spend a lot of time talking about,
Yes.
ADHD,
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
um, some of the worst neurological diseases that you've seen on the planet, to simple things like just energy and sleep and improving your skin and improving your lungs, and it's really because your body has an innate wisdom. Your body wants to heal itself, right? And when we give it the tools to do it itself, it really
Hmm.
can do the job. But it's unable to do it when we get older. When you're 30, half of your stem cells are dormant. And when you are 60, they're almost all dormant. And what we have a technology that's just cutting edge, leading, just changing the whole world of medicine, in my opinion, and in others.
Hmm.
When you can wear a non-transdermal patch that's the size of a little quarter, I'm showing it right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
tiny, right? And it is not putting anything in your skin. That's why over 300 Olympic athletes wore it 20 years ago in the 2000, well, actually it's not less than 20 years, but in the 2008 Olympics, and by people like even Tom Brady and Serena Williams, and we saw Mike Tyson wearing patches. We've seen the new future Secretary of Health and Human Services wearing the patches. There's a reason people are wearing these patches, and it's because what it's doing is it's elevating a copper peptide in your body. Peptides are huge, right? Peptides are kind of so huge that the FDA has done everything they can to get them off the market, because they compete with the pharmaceutical industries, right? And what happens when you elevate your own copper peptide? Copper peptide is proven in like 50 years of double-blind placebo-controlled studies, starting with actually this Dr. Lauren Picard. He wrote
Hmm.
one of the first books on copper peptide. And so it's kind of huge for skin, but it's actually, your skin is the outward reflection of your organ health inside, right? So a lot of people
Yeah.
love it as a beauty product, but it's actually, even GHKCU injections are even used in cancer clinics because it has such an amazing impact. It actually, you've talked a little bit about epigenetics in some of your previous podcasts, and I've really
Yes.
enjoyed that setting. When you can reset in one day 4,000 genes to their younger and healthier state, which our product is proven to do, that is phenomenal. And when you can take cancer cells and reset the programmed cell death of those cancer cells without affecting healthy cells, and actually repair DNA and reset like 84 genes to protect against cancer, you are making a difference. And so we have seen dramatic improvement across the board on all of these things. The body is doing the work. Our patch is like when you go out in the sun, your body, excuse me, makes vitamin D. The sun sends a signal to your skin. Your skin takes that signal and it says, oh, let's make vitamin D or melanin for a suntan, right?
Uh-huh.
And what happens with this little patch is, if I were to look at you with night vision goggles on, you have light inside of you. We see it in all the military movies and so forth, right?
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
this patch is like, it's like a little mirror reflecting your own personal light back into you at a specific wavelength that's causing this elevation in copper peptide. And I will honestly admit to you that when I first heard of this, I was incredibly skeptical. I had
Yeah.
absolutely zero belief, because I had gone out of country 4 times to get stem cells in IV for my husband and for me, because I had 4 autoimmune disorders. And I wanted to stop fainting. I had a postural orthostatic tachycardia. You'd stand up and I would just pass out. If I got overheated, I would pass out. I couldn't do squats. I couldn't do Pilates. I couldn't play pickleball in the summer. And this had gone on for 18 years. So they had prescribed a drug for me to actually increase my blood pressure. That's not a good idea in any way, shape, or form, but that's where we were. And so when I went out of country and got stem cells in IV and stem cells in injections, I had a lot of faith in that. I had a lot of belief. I had to, right? I was putting out $10,000 to $15,000 to do that. And I had zero results from that. We did hyperbaric chamber. I think I had negative results from that. My husband had negative results from that. We did ozone therapy, hydrogen water, strength therapy, gene mapping, microbiome testing,
Hmm.
infrared sauna, red light therapy, you name it,
Hmm.
we did it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when someone said, try this, I was like, right. Especially because it's like $99 for a 1 month supply, right? I had spent over $100,000 that year trying to help my husband with his early Alzheimer's. And at the time when I started patching him, he was academically or cognitively age 4. He was no longer engaging in conversation. I think it was just too hard for him. He was no longer his personality. He was, if he did talk, it was like asking me the same question 7 times in 3 minutes. Very common for Alzheimer's, very frustrating for care providers.
Hmm.
Um, he was not sleeping very well. I think when we were working on his deep sleep, the most I could get him to was like 15 minutes of deep sleep, which was so important because that's when your brain cleanses itself and flushes the
Hmm.
toxins. So we were really working on that. And when I say working on that, I took a class on it. We changed out our lights in the bathroom to red lights. We didn't eat 3 hours before bed. We got our eyes on the morning sun, eyes in the middle of the day, eyes at night. We turned off electronics. We did all the things you could do, and we still were getting him 15 minutes of deep sleep. So we were not in a good spot. And when we started patching him, I had zero belief. But the very first day and the very first week, he didn't take the 3.5 hour nap that he had taken for a year. He didn't fall asleep at 7 o'clock at night. He was so talkative. It was like a dam broke and he had all these things to say. I didn't even know what to do with this. Like, he was just talking and talking. And what was really cool is, like, very quickly he was making jokes again. And my husband's whole persona is to be funny and to make people laugh. And he was no longer even trying. Early in the disease, 4 years ago or 5 years ago, he was trying and failing, kind of like just kind of not missing the mark or whatever. But he had stopped even trying. And so now he was back to trying to be funny, back to being flirty, back to his personality in a week, in the first week. And as time went on, I got to see that not only was he not sleeping through the day, and not only was he chattier and back to his personality, but his deep sleep went to 1 hour and 25 minutes in the second week. He regained the ability to whistle and to drum. His blood pressure dropped like 37 points. He regained his sense of smell at the 5 month mark, which, by the way, for anybody who's lost their sense of smell, not related to COVID or not related to a virus, that is an early warning indicator of Alzheimer's. I did not
Wow.
know that, but it
Wow.
actually is. And
Hmm.
so it's a testing that they actually do for that. So we had all of these things that changed for him, and that's just him. I actually have not had a fainting episode since I started patching. That is saying something, because I used to essentially almost pass out every day. It was the single thing I wanted fixed. I also had a broken foot. I had a sprained ankle. There are patches that actually relieve you from pain. And when I say they take away the pain, they take it away in a minute. I've taken someone from 15 level pain out of 1 to 10 down to 0 in a minute, and had them like crying because it's the first time they've been out of pain in years. And it was so dramatic for me coming out of pain that I didn't believe it. I actually thought, this is the day, 5 months into my broken foot and sprained ankle, this is just the day that I stop having pain. I just can't believe this little patch could do that, right? And then you wear the patches 12 hours on, and you take them off after 12 hours. And that's to give your body a break, because you don't want attenuation. You don't want the body to get used to the signal and then stop responding. So you take it off and give it a break. And when I took the pain relief patches off, it was less than 5 minutes and my foot was throbbing again, and my ankle. I was like, okay, we now know this is really the patches doing this. And so I got to see a huge difference in my husband. I got to see a huge difference in myself. And not only no symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome, no symptoms of fibromyalgia anymore, no rosacea anymore. I was the dry skin person that had literally covered myself in Cetaphil cream every day, and I don't anymore. I don't have regular. I used to not go anywhere without migraine medicine, nowhere, because if I had a migraine, I was in the emergency room throwing up, and it happened at who knew when. So I had it in my car, I had it in my purse, I had it everywhere. I don't even know where that is anymore. I have no idea, because I don't get those headaches anymore. So I got to share this with my, first thing I'm doing out of the gate is saying, Mom, Dad, sister, you guys, you need to try this. You're not going to believe this. And I got to watch things happen for them. My sister's 6 years of microscopic colitis, where she would have diarrhea 7 times before taking her daughter to school in the morning. She would not normally let me saying this on like, she had to stop coming home after dropping her off. She couldn't make it all the way home. That's how severe. And in 3 weeks, with an anti-inflammation patch and this stem cell activation patch for you in London, and master foundational cell patch activation for those of us in the United States, because the FDA has just said your stem cells are a drug, and I'm not allowed to talk about what this does to them. We'll call them master foundational cells. And in just 3 weeks of those 2 patches, her microscopic colitis went away, and so did her dogs. You actually can take your patch off and place it on your pet. Safe enough for anyone, really. No contraindications to medicine. I mean, one of the things that I was worried about was, with anyone, right? What about the contraindications to medicine? No, it's just light. Like, it's your own light back at you at a specific wavelength. So I have seen more miracles. I do a weekly Zoom call with new people that are learning about this, with a doctor we call her the drug-free pharmacist, because she has spent 26 years in the pharmaceutical industry and is switching entirely over to doing this, because she's seen more miracles in a year of patching people than she ever saw in her entire career as a pharmacist. And we've got cardiologists and in fact, there was a cardiologist from Arizona who just presented to the American Health Association, because he saw that utilizing this master foundational cell activation patch, he saw healing in his pacemaker patient that had an infection, I think it was. The wound basically healed 50% faster. And when he used 3 different kinds of patches, it healed 500% faster. So there's just remarkable, and it's just getting in front of more of our traditional medical world, when there's an anesthesiologist who says it's the most impressive medical breakthrough he's seen in his lifetime. Really, right? But mostly in the beginning, you're talking about, chiropractors, you're talking about integrative functional medicine doctors, you're talking about people. But once you actually patch a cardiologist, because they've got pain themselves and they come out of pain, they go, oh, I need to know a little bit more about this. So it's really been the most crazy, just stunning, anything I've ever done. Very intrinsically rewarding. So in this time where my husband still has Alzheimer's, he's not cured. He's still, the things that got better for him have stayed better for him. So just know that those things that got improved right from the beginning, he still has funny, flirty personality. He's still awake through the day. There's lots that's still improved, but he still is an Alzheimer's patient. I think though, and this is why I'm talking to you today, if we would have caught him 5 years ago, we would not be here today. I really strongly believe that, because I think when you look at being able to reset genes and protect the body and get the body to start detoxing even the brain, detoxing even the brain. I've just seen too many miracles of people who are even Alzheimer's patients who no longer have an MRI showing all of the you know the, the things that you have in your brain when you have Alzheimer's. So yeah, I've
That's why
seen a lot.
your work is so impressive, Darlene, because the thing we all care about is our health, and that's the one thing that keeps on getting worse the older we get. There's no stopping us aging, and health is inevitable. Having health issues is inevitable, and so we need to have all the knowledge out there, have all the tools out there for us to take care of ourselves. And what I love about what you did is you tried all the traditional advice, the diet, the sleep, the exercise, all those things, right? And above and beyond. And you hit a wall. And so you tried something else and it worked. And it set you on this journey. And now you're educating us. Love it, Darlene.
Well, it's fed my soul. Honestly, one of the things I live daily grieving the loss of my best friend and partner, right? I finally got it right. I have the most beautiful human being as a husband.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely a gift to me on this planet. And it's been very, very hard to watch him go through this process and to lose him, essentially, lose so much of him. And
Yeah.
yet, this has given me a community of people to help and focus on that's not me. Like I could literally spend every day having a pity party for myself and crying and being sad. And instead I am helping other people and they are sending me text messages every day. Oh my gosh, Darlene, you've changed my life. I've had people say you have saved my life. I no longer wanted to live. And that is the most intrinsically rewarding. It's a gift to me. Like, yes, I gave them a gift,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, they're changed and their body's changing and they're experiencing this dramatic improvement. But that's also a gift to my soul. So I get to do that for people. And I was a pretty quiet, private person. In a million years, I could not imagine myself on a podcast or talking at all on Facebook or anything, right? If you would have looked at me 2-3 years ago, you would have seen I had one daughter that went to the Naval Academy. I have another daughter who went to the Air Force Academy, and that's kind of all you would know, really. I just didn't post. I didn't want to, but I'm mad. I'm mad that I didn't know about this earlier. I'm mad because I did a lot of research. I did a lot of research on stem cells, and I still didn't know about this. And so, and I spent a lot of money on stem cells that didn't work. And I just didn't know you could activate your own master foundational cells. And I understand that this is a problem for big pharma. I do, because guess what? My doctor friend that I do that, she's no longer taking her thyroid medicine. We have people who no longer need insulin. We have people who have no longer need headache medicine, blood pressure medicine, cholesterol medicine. There's actually a double-blind placebo-controlled study.
Mm-hmm.
Every 6 weeks of wearing this patch, your heart, your cardiovascular system becomes 8 weeks younger. 8 weeks younger. That is phenomenal, wow. Right? I mean, when you think about the continued, when you know that cardiovascular is what the number one or number two, I think it's number one cause of death globally, and yet you have something where GHCU can help new blood vessels form, promote proper circulation, prevent blood from clotting too much, and restore integrity to vessel wall. So phenomenal capability. There's a brain study on my website that you can look at, a double-blind placebo-controlled brain. There's over 130 clinical studies. So this is not without science, right? Mm-hmm. Better science than you'll find on any drug, including Tylenol or aspirin, like really strong, elevated science. And what they found in this brain study, where you can actually look at the EEG images, is you could see the reduction in brain inflammation. You could see the improved coherence between the left and right hemisphere. You could see improvement in memory, focus, cognition, including actually supported cell and nerve regeneration. Nerve regeneration.
Yeah.
Find me anything anywhere that does that. It's just, crazy. Improved nervous system, lowered anxiety. Oh, I didn't even tell you guys that, one of my worst symptoms at the time when I started patching was I was depressed. I was so sad. I wanted to cry every single day. I was in pain. I could no longer play pickleball. I couldn't walk around the neighborhood. I couldn't do all of my coping capabilities, the things that I was sort of using to stay above float while watching my husband decline, were out the window when I broke my foot and sprained my ankle. I actually tore a ligament and had to have it repaired. 100% tore it, and then the other one 90%. So this was a pretty significant operation I had to have. And so I was sad, and I wanted to cry every day. And within, I don't even know, 2-3 weeks, my mood just lifted, and I just was so happy and could deal and live in a place of gratitude and be just grateful for what I have every day, grateful for what I have had that many people never have. And that was sort of life changing. And so we've got people, I'm pretty I have a deep spot in my heart, a soft spot in my heart for our military veterans and their families. They go through so much, and firefighters and police, all of them really, right? All of these service people. And the fact that they give so much of their selves, I just hate that they come back frequently so hurt emotionally. And I love that I love that our company has donated to a lot of veterans, thousands of patches to veterans, and help them. We've had people who were in wheelchairs and couldn't walk stand up and start walking. I mean, it does sound too good to be true. And I get that. But my favorite is just getting them out of the dark hole of depression, like getting them lifted out of the hell that they often are trapped in.
It is too good to be true, because it's not everyone has it just yet, or not everyone knows about it. You hear about this and you're like, this is a miracle, this is magic, but we've heard enough examples of this happening right now, and enough people starting to spread the message where people are waking up and learning about these tools and other things that, if this is such a healing thing, why won't doctors adopt this? Why won't doctors advise you to go get this kind of therapy? Why is this hidden and gatekeeping?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, most people don't know that doctors make more money from the pharmaceutical companies, from the prescriptions that they write, than they do their base salary. They can make like a lot more, over hundreds of thousands of dollars from the prescriptions that they're writing. They get a kickback.
It's kind of like paid partnerships kind of thing.
It absolutely is. And they have to be very careful. I mean, there are doctors who've had their licenses suspended for talking about vitamin C and vitamin D and, these kinds of natural things.
Really?
Like, it's insane when you think about it, because they have to sort of march this line. I even had my husband's neurologist, who's the chief of the head of the department at Barrow's Neurological Center, when I said something about trying a few different things, potentially psilocybin mushrooms or something, right? Other things. He basically said, okay, I can't write that down, but I encourage you to do that. And I'm, methylene blue. He's like, oh, I love seeing that. Like, there are alternatives, but they can't even write them in the record. They can't even say a word about them, even when there are studies proving that they are effective. And I'm frustrated by that. I hope that our new future, I'm hopeful that RFK is going to change that, because he's already said that that stem cells specifically, he talked about, the war on stem cells and nutrition is over when I get in there. So hopefully, since he will oversee the FDA, we'll actually be able to talk about stem cells next year or the year after or sometime soon, so that we can really speak to the differences that this has the ability to make. I mean, we're in 82 countries. We've been around 20 years. We're the fastest growing sales company in the world 4 years in a row. There's a reason for that. This Master Foundational Cell Activation Patch has only been out 5 years. The very first patch, which came out 20 years ago, was created by our inventor to help our Navy SEALs. The Department of Defense contracted him to say, hey, we've got this situation. They need to stay awake 3 and 4 days at a time. And we don't want to use amphetamines and bad drugs, right? They're the military. We're not allowed to do that. So he created this amazing first 2 patches that enhance your energy. And they do more than that. They actually, they do it by improving the mitochondrial function. They increase beta oxidation. They increase more energy from fat burning. So it feels like this Energizer Bunny energy all day long. It doesn't feel like an espresso or an energy drink. It doesn't feel like, your veins are on fire. It feels just good all day long. And I think that was huge for me. Like, I found myself in the kitchen cooking. And if you knew me, you would know, like, what? Darlene in the kitchen cooking? What's going on here? Something crazy is happening. And I'm in there going, I don't know why I hated cooking so much. This isn't so bad. I think I cooked more the first week than I had in a year. And I was like, I didn't have the energy to cook before. I was just beat by the end of the day. And now I have energy all day till I literally go to bed and I take my patches off and I'm like, okay, yeah, day's done. Let's go to sleep. And I sleep better and my skin looks better. I love that we're healing our organs from the inside out. There's actually, I'm not sure how familiar you all are with glutathione.
No.
Glutathione is worth knowing about. It is your body's master antioxidant. And what I love about it, it's also your detox pathway. And so for someone who had 4 autoimmune disorders, I was getting glutathione via IV, and I was getting it via orally, right? Liposomal glutathione, which is good. Although even the IV, which is the best approach would only elevate my glutathione by 27% for a whopping half-life of 7 minutes. Not that impressive, really. But the people who live the longest in the world have the highest levels of glutathione. When you look at that, because glutathione does so many things, right? It protects your DNA from damage. It actually initiates repair of your damaged cells. It reduces inflammation. It can actually increase cartilage. There was a study, I probably am not allowed to talk about it, but I'm going to. And we did a glutathione patch together along with that master foundational cell activation. And they basically wore these 3 patches for 3 months, 2 of them on the knee. And all of the participants in the study were supposed to have knee surgery. They were all signed up for knee surgery. And at the end of that 3-month time frame, none of them, 0, went on to have knee surgery. And what they found is that the cartilage had regenerated, which, doctors will tell you it's not possible. But they do have people injecting glutathione into knees. Sports medicine doctors are doing that. This is just a way to get your own body to elevate your own glutathione, which is so much healthier because it's not going to overproduce it. It's going where it needs to go. It's doing the proper way. And this patch elevates your own glutathione by 300%, and it keeps it there for a day. So day after day, they find that it improves things like your organ function. It protects the myelin sheath. That's huge in the world of neuro, particularly MS. It detoxifies heavy metals. It helps with wound healing. And those 3 patches that are really good for the knee regeneration, they're also helpful for removing spike proteins, which, if anybody doesn't know about spike proteins, anybody who had the COVID vaccination or contracted COVID has spike proteins. And those are bad for your gut, your brain, your heart, and your lungs, and have long-term effects. And you have to do something to get rid of spike proteins. They don't just go away. They're a disformed, malfunctioning protein in your body. And so this, my friend did a live blood cell analysis, and she had tons of them on every one of the 6 slides. After 6 weeks of those 3 patches, she had none except 1. She had 1, and that was, I think they say that in 2 months they'll go away, and she was retesting at 6 weeks. So there's a lot of different patches, but really you can just do one. You can just do the Master Foundational Cell Activation Patch for $99. The other supportive sleeves are like $49 a month. So sometimes what we like to do is reduce inflammation. That used to be the most popular and best-selling patch prior to this master foundational cell activation patch because inflammation is the root of so much evil, right? Imagine when you can put a patch on that reduces inflammation and cortisol and C-reactive protein and stress. It actually balances the autonomic nervous system and hormone production. So we call it the happy patch. But what happens is inflammation eats up your stem cells. So if we can lower that while we elevate your master foundational cells, now they can go to work for you. They can go to work and do what they need to do. I just knew very little. Sometimes I wonder if I would have been on the anti-inflammation patch when I went to Mexico and had our IV stem cells.
Mm-hmm.
Would they have done more, right?
Yeah, of course it would.
Did they just get eaten up by my inflammation and his inflammation? And
totally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, Said, do you have any comments or pushback or anything on this one?
I kind of wanted to. There's quite a few things to ask about. Uh, it has been 30 minutes into the podcast and I have said nothing. That's unusual of me. Something that I was curious about. I was trying to find something about the doctors that were being losing their licenses because of like talking about vitamins. I couldn't find necessarily an article or anything that talks about that. Could you maybe elaborate a bit
So
more on that?
My information comes from Dr. Rowan out in California, and he sends out an email that I'm on distribution of, and he was talking about the laws that have been placed in the California world where they are not allowed to talk about those types of nutritional. There was a law passed by their, I think, governor. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So it's I don't have more specifics than that. I just know that it's interesting. I actually asked 4 of my different doctors, have you heard of these? And I have 4 doctors who are actually using the pouches. I have an osteopath, I have a dentist, I have a biological dentist, I have a neurological specialist from Stanford, actually Harvard. She's Harvard summa cum laude graduate. She has helped my husband as more of a holistic integrative neurologist working in tandem with the Barrett's Neurological Center, doing neuroquants and looking at things like mycotoxins. And I think I actually heard you guys talk a little bit about mycotoxins on one of your podcasts. And so we actually had, in fact, in the very beginning, I was sort of refusing to believe he had Alzheimer's. I was like, no, it's just the mold. We have mold and we're going to fix that. And but yeah, no, it turns out, and when I would argue with the Barrows Neurological Center about, well, how do you know this is really Alzheimer's? And how do you know it's not just the mold? And they would say, well, we don't. You can't really diagnose it till you cut the brain open. So, well, I'm like, well,
okay.
And their whole approach was the pharmaceutical that came out that was kind of all the big thing in a few years ago. That causes a brain bleed in 50% of people with my husband's gene type of APOE44. 50% get brain bleeds. So I'm like, well, what is your plan? And their plan was, well, come back in a year. We'll see how he's doing. That was the plan.
Okay. What about for side effects of this therapy you're talking about?
Yeah. So there are no side effects because there are no drugs. But what we have seen is the most beneficial things are people get more energy and sleep and they have their skin repair. There's lots of positives, right? The one thing I can say is that if people don't drink enough water, one of the things that just that master foundational cell activation patch does is it elevates your glutathione by 30%. Well, that can cause detoxing. So the cause of basically dumping toxins out of the lymph nodes and your fat cells. If you're not drinking enough water, then it can back up and not get flushed out. And that can cause people to have a headache or some body aches or fatigue, in which case I'll say, first, drink more water. Second, add electrolytes. And third, let's remove the patch for the day and call it a day and then start again tomorrow. Because I don't want you detoxing faster than your body can flush it. And some people have a lot of toxins. We breathe it, we drink it, we eat it. They're everywhere. That's the only thing I've seen. There are also occasions of retracing. So there's something called a healing crisis,
Hmm.
when the cells go in and they start breaking apart and debreeding old scar tissue, and that scar tissue can be inside your body or outside, and it's remodeling it, right? And so occasionally there can be a moment, and it can be very quick, it can be like a day, where things, an old injury that you haven't felt injured or hurt from in years, will all of a sudden start hurting again, and then it will go away and it will be gone. So it's basically, I think, those, the inflammation, the master foundational cells going in, eating up the old stuff, and putting in the new fresh tissue in there and having it be healed. And as someone who's had, two shoulder surgeries, a knee surgery, two foot surgeries, an ankle surgery, I mean, I have had a lot of surgeries. So
Yeah.
I appreciate the remodeling that's going on in my body inside, because there's mobility. People have immediate increased mobility,
Hmm.
and I think that's just the improved inflammation dropping. But I don't. I'm surprised we can put a patch on and people can immediately move their shoulder. I mean, I don't understand that. Like, how is that working? Except it's energy, it's light. This is a communication, it's signaling. Pain is actually blocked energy. When you actually get the energy flowing, you can eliminate the blockages.
Hmm.
Amazing. Said, I wanted to let you comment or say something before we
I kind of
push
want to
more.
understand the process of like
Hmm.
how does the repair work basically occur for like nerve damage and like physical joints when you're just using a patch. Like that really blows my mind. The fact that it's a small patch and it can do all of that work in that small component.
Yeah, well,
So maybe
it's not the thing doing the work. I think is the way what it's doing is signaling. It's a signal. It's a communication signal saying, "Hey, go in and
Mhm,
elevate copper peptide." So
Hmm.
there are books. There's even this one, "How to Reverse Aging: A Comprehensive Guide to
Hmm.
Copper Peptide." Right? When you look into what copper peptide can do, so by elevating copper peptide, the copper peptide then elevates those master foundational stem cells and does a lot of other things too, right? Helps improve all these things. So that copper peptide and then those master foundational cells, when you think about it, that's what made you. Your first two cells that came together were stem cells, and they can become anything in your body. In fact, they can become brain or lungs or heart. They can become muscle or cartilage, or they can become anything. I mean, the scary thing is, and I'm glad I didn't know about the study when I went out of country to get stem cells, placenta stem cells 4 times, because there have been studies I read about since where they had monkeys that were injected with stem cell,
Hmm.
different kinds of stem cells, and when they died, and when they opened up their brains, they found like bone and foot and like things that aren't supposed to be in the brain. So that
whoa.
scared the daylights out of me. And that's a scarier thing when you're putting somebody else's stem cells into yourself. Or there are people who take stem cells out of their own body, spin them with things, and put them back in, right? And the question I would ask is like, are those stem cells awake and alive? Or are they part of the? I mean, if you're past 30, they're half of them are dormant. So how do you know which ones you grabbed? And how are
Mhm,
you activating them? You need to activate those stem cells. And so I would just say it's not the patch that's actually doing all of this. It's the patch signaling to the body, go to work and get this done. And just like we signal the body with red light therapy or blue laser therapy or infrared, or,
mhm,
there's a lot of different, I mean, there are surgeons. There's a really great neurosurgeon who uses light therapy in the surgical hospital, like in the operating room, to improve and reduce infection and other things. So, um, yeah, I think we've even seen increased bone density, increased muscle. I mean, it's actually, there was a study, and in the study they found that it was improving. But what I love is improving bone density and increasing muscle, and I love that because I'm 59 and I'm going to be 60. And at this age, things, your muscle starts to decline so
Hmm.
much, right?
mhm.
We just have to do everything we can to build that muscle and have it stay. Well, what this
Let me just say, by the way, it doesn't show. That's,
thank you.
I'm guessing that
That's my reverse aging, right? Thank you.
the process is working. Yeah.
But they found that in wearing these two patches, one that's specifically focused on the master foundational cell, but there's another that elevates the daughter peptide to GHKCU called AHKCU. AHKCU is only located in the brain and the muscles and the heart. And so this is a great patch for me to ask to be used for my husband, because I want those master foundational cells to be elevated in those specific arenas. Well, since AHKCU lives there, it's fantastic for that. But what we found when people were wearing that specific patch is it improved their exercise, their sit-ups by 70%, their push-ups by 81%, their squats by 47%, their bicep curls by 112%, even their grip strength by 75%, which is important for my mom. She's 83. She needs to be able to open up a pickle jar. I don't want to go over there every time they
Yeah.
need a pickle jar opened, right? And then they found that there were even more benefits when you combined it with this master foundational cell activation. But they also saw a change in body composition. And in fact, the body fat went from 37.5 to 33.5 just in 2 months.
Wow.
No, and I've heard testimonials of people who haven't changed their weight. Actually, I was on a call. We have a wonderful call every Sunday. There's a call with all these doctors. There's like 25 doctors, and they are family practice, neurologists, anesthesiologists, pediatricians, pain management specialists, dentists, you name it. They are the only ones that answer questions on this call. And everybody else can ask or tell. They can tell a story, or they can ask questions. Well, there was this one woman who was talking about how dramatically her body composition changed. It was, basically that she had gone in just 6 months. She had gone from 28% body fat to 18% body fat. She had added
Wow.
10 pounds of muscle and 2.5 pounds of bone mass in 6 months. And
Wow.
she hadn't changed anything else at all. So I love that increased strength and stability
Yeah.
that can come without. I mean, most people are turning to other peptides like Ozempic, right? Let's be honest. People are taking the quick. I mean, not that that's an easy route. And I understand that there might be people that need this, and I'm not going to be the person that disses anybody
Hmm.
doing whatever they need to do. But I will say there are healthier approaches, and this is one of them, because one of the
Yeah.
problems with those is that you lose your muscle. You lose your
Hmm.
muscle and you lose water. You
Yeah.
do lose fat too, but we can't afford to lose muscle at this age. We need every bit of muscle that we can keep on
Yeah.
and then keep building.
A question on, so we're talking about a lot of the physical repairs that are done, but I want to go a bit into the mental repairs that you mentioned, because earlier you mentioned that you treat people with ADHD, people with autism,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I remember in our recent podcast, we talked with a doctor who treats autism, and he mentioned that it was a type of inflammation in the brain. Um, and I wonder, does stem cell treatment, I'm allowed to say that in the UK, stem cell treatment, does it
Yeah. Well,
does
I'm
it
so
like
glad
help
you
reduce the
asked.
inflammation or what?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I so the friend of mine who introduced me to these patches, Dina, she has a daughter with a rare genetic disorder like autism.
Mhm.
Basically, age 16, but behaving and act cognitively kindergarten. And
Yeah.
she could not be left alone for 1 minute. Like, she was combative. She was not capable of being left alone. And the mom had seen someone else's testimony, someone using the patches for 4 months with a nonverbal child who became verbal in 4 months. And so she was like, I'll try it. I'll try anything. There's nothing I wouldn't try. So she started patching her, first herself, and she started feeling better, and then her daughter. And she just patched with the one patch, the Master Foundation Activation patch. And at day 15, so she saw no change
Mhm.
initially. At day 15, she noticed her daughter, who'd constantly been vibrating and basically like hyperactive since a baby in the crib, like all of a sudden she was calm. She had prepped for the tutor, made some food, cleaned it up, was sitting and reading a book. And in all of her 16 years, she had never seen her do any of those things ever. And so then the tutor
Yeah.
comes, the tutor teaches her and leaves and texts mom and says, whoa, not sure what's going on, but that was the most focused. She was so good. Her best score ever had been a 52 in math. She got 100. So at the 5 week mark of testing, patching
That's
for
crazy.
5 weeks, they tested all of the tests, the whole baseline. And they found that she'd gone from a kindergarten cognition and academically to upper third, lower fourth grade in
Wow.
5 weeks. And then at the 10-month mark,
Wow.
they did an entire full panel, and her executive reasoning, which had been previously not registering ever, not even
Yeah.
registering, was now the executive reasoning of a 16-year-old. And the test examiner said, I don't understand that. That's not even supposed to change as you grow. And this mom has helped at least 5 families, probably more at this point, with other children that were autistic, because she's got a lot of family members that have autism in their family. And they
Yeah.
have all seen improvement. Now, are they cured? No, but are they?
Okay.
This child is now in a public school, riding a bus by herself. She is talking about living by herself. This mom has had the opportunity now to have a life, date, get married. Like, this has changed her whole being, because that was not something that was, she never had time to, she had to be constantly watching this child. So her whole life has changed, and so has her daughter's.
Wow, that's an amazing story, to be honest. Um, Sorry, I'm just processing that.
Well, and there
Yeah,
are
wow,
more.
that's
There are so many. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing, is this is one. I used to say, I don't care how many it works. I just need it to work for my one. Like, I just need this to work for my one person, right? If it works for any, but I have heard that a lot of people with autism have, in fact, your guest actually pointed out that they have low levels of glutathione.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what our patch does? It elevates your glutathione levels. A
There you
lot of
go.
autistic
okay.
people, I've heard that they also have high levels of inflammation in the brain. Guess what
Mm-hmm.
our patch does? It reduces inflammation in the brain.
Inflammation.
I've
Mm-hmm.
heard that they have toxins, heavy metals. Some of them are vax injured. Not that they would, nobody will ever admit to that, but sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they have metals and things that were introduced to the body that they didn't react well to, or they couldn't detox. And our patches help to detox the body. So, it makes sense why when you think about it, but you know, I, we can't ever promise what it's going to do for any single individual because every body is different, but I know that they're making an improvement on it. It's just a matter of timing. One of my favorite stories was of a guy who his name is Bob Campbell, and I just
Hmm.
love the story because he was frustrated that he really had these horrible foot surgeries. Seven, I think it was 7 foot surgeries and 5 knee surgeries, and he was in excruciating pain. And he just wanted the patches to help him with his knees and his feet. And in the first week, his energy levels doubled. And he's like, well, that's nice, but that's not what I need. And at 3.5 months, his breathing improved, which had been very compromised after a sinus infection. And then
Yeah.
the other thing that happened for him at 3.5 months is he had prostate cancer, and he no longer could pee without taking this pill. And
Mm-hmm.
if he didn't take this
Yeah.
pill, he would
Hmm.
end up in the emergency room. At 3.5 months, he realized he did not have to take this pill. His flow was strong, and he never had to take it again. And then at 6 months, his now energies are through the roof. He no longer is, he actually has improved hearing, improved sight. We actually have a lot of people who don't need surgeries like macular degeneration. Look, we've had people that were scheduled for these surgeries that don't need them anymore. But his
Hmm.
sleeping was improved, but his feet and his knees still hurt. And he was 6 months in, and he's like, I think I'm going to stop patching. And his upline
Yeah.
said, you know what? Just keep trying. Your 70s. We say a month for every decade you are old. Give it a chance. It's got a lot of work to do, right? You have less stem cells that are active, so get in there and let's activate those master foundational cells. Well, it took 7.5 months, and at the 7.5 month mark, he was no longer in any pain with his feet. He was no longer in any pain with his knees.
Hmm.
His
Hmm. Hmm.
arthritis in his hands, which he wasn't even on his list really, but his arthritis in his hands had gone away. He could now wear his wedding ring, and those things have never returned. And then he kept patching. At 18 to 20 months, the precancerous scabs that were all over his hands that previously he's had to burn off twice, and they kept growing back. They just fell off. They just disappeared. And then at the third year patching, he realized that he didn't need glasses to read for the first time since third grade. So,
Wow.
I mean, your body is going to
Yeah.
keep working and doing good with this copper peptide and these activated master foundational cells.
This is
Um,
amazing.
Also, and
Yes, I.
yeah, so I just want to go back a bit to the autism case. This is particular interest, obviously, for me. Um, you said that all of the cognitive parts return to basically to normal-ish, let's say, but they're not necessarily cured. And when you say not necessarily cured,
So
what
I
does that
wouldn't
mean?
say
Is it like,
normal. I would say improved. Um,
yeah,
I would say dramatically improved. I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what do they look like 5 years in the patches? What,
yeah,
how good can they get, right? I mean, we've seen people who were, there was a child, there's a picture that I actually have of a child whose coloring was one color and it was all like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
yeah,
in just a matter of, I think, 2 months, he's coloring with 7 different colors and he's in the lines and it's just like phenomenal difference. So, I mean,
yeah,
those kinds of transitions from a parent's perspective is night and day. He's not necessarily normal, cured, right? He might not be all the way there, but he's dramatically improved. And people that never thought they would have jobs or or interacting, and they're comfortable and they're happy. I like the happiness perhaps the best because they're not afraid, and their whole autonomic nervous system is calmer, right? Their entire body is changed, and I think
yeah,
with time, I don't know what the end state could look like. I mean, this patch has only been around 5 years. What does 10 years
yeah,
look like with someone? I don't know. Maybe they can get all the way back to normal with enough time. If your stem cells made you, what can't they do? That's my hope for my husband. Like, we're not there yet. Um, I'm praying that in time, there's just more and more cumulative effect that ends up helping turn this corner, or maybe we're too far in. I don't know, and that's where my frustration of not knowing about it soon enough, which is why I'm on a podcast like yours. There's somebody out there who needs this right now. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
we all need it. We all
Yes.
could use it, but there's
yes,
somebody who
that's
needs
true.
it as desperately as I did, and who is willing to say this. I know this sounds like the craziest thing I've ever heard, but I have nothing to lose. There's even a money back guarantee. So why not? I mean, it's affordable. There's a money back guarantee. We are patented. There's double blind placebo controlled studies. We're in 82 countries. It gets mailed to your door. There's no prescription. There's no side effects. What do you have to lose, right? I mean, that's where I was at the start of it. And I just
Hmm.
needed it to work for my one person.
Said, are
Yeah,
you
and
convinced? Are you going to be getting some?
uh, hopefully, yes. Is there a way to? How can I get it in the UK?
Yeah, you can get it in the UK. We have it in the UK. Yeah,
Oh,
I
nice. Yeah.
basically, part of what I do is I sit with people and I help them figure out which patches are best. Like, we can just do the one, or we can hit it more aggressively. We can reduce the inflammation. We can take a look at what are you trying to do. Like, people who may have eye issues, very serious eye. Sometimes people are getting carnosine injections in their eyes. Well, we have a patch that elevates the carnosine. So there are people that no longer have to spend thousands of dollars. So it depends on what are you doing. And what I can do for people is guide them through the process, hold their hand, make sure that they're drinking enough water,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that they are that we stagger the use of, if we're using multiple patches, that we don't throw everything on at once, that we go through this in a slow, methodical way. And then I get to reap the benefits of these great testimonials afterwards, right? But that's what I do, and I do that for
Yeah.
free. And I will tell you guys that I don't charge for that, because this is medicine for me, and I have a day job. This is not my primary job. I am a director of client services for a network and security technology company. That's my day job. This is my passion. You can probably
Mm-hmm.
tell.
Yeah.
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 Well, something
Yeah. We definitely can.
I've learned about you is that you have a history of being in the military and such, and your family too. And it seems like you have that warrior spirit to, fight for people who need it, the underprivileged, the people who are sick, who need health. And that's a very worthy battle, I would say. So thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. You out
Thank you.
here spreading this.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a website people can go to and
Hmm.
see the studies and see the pictures and learn more in videos. It's called iamreverseaging.com, and they can reach me there. Basically, you just contact Darlene, and I can help you sign up. And again, we're in, you know, all these different countries. You have a very international audience, and
Yes. Hmm.
um, I'd be delighted to help anybody with them. A lot of people will just buy the pouches from the website, which you can do. And then even if you do, I'll reach out and say, hey, I'm here to help. But my preference is always to help people sign up and make sure that they're getting the best deals. There's a lot of different ways to buy the pouches. If you aren't in the right location, you can end up paying retail of $150 instead of the 99 and not knowing about special deals. Like right now, there's a Black Friday special that ends today. There's Cyber Monday yesterday. There's a new seasonal Christmas, but you don't know about those. They're not on the website, and I can help you get those. So I
Thank you,
would love to
Darlene.
help any of you, and I would actually love to see you.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's it. I am reverse aging. I'd love to see how you feel after 6 months, Said and Ali. I would
Yes.
love to have you guys talk to your experience after, because I do say, think about 10% improvement a month, like setting expectations. You know, I there are a lot of people who are one patch wonders, but most people take some time to actually um,
Yeah.
feel the difference, because you didn't get this way overnight. You're not going to get out of it overnight, right? This is cellular regeneration we're talking about. It's not like a wand, a magic wand. But if you could wave your magic wand, what would you change? And I feel like we can really make a difference on that front. It just is going to take time.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Sign me up,
I'm definitely down to
Saeed.
improve my cognitive my oh my God. I guess you guys know what I'm trying
There's
to
some
say.
work to
But
do.
yeah, work on improve my brain. Exactly. So then I would say it properly. There you go. I could use that 10% improvement.
Yeah,
Darlene, thank you so much for coming onto the pod and sharing all of this information about this wonderful new research, stem cell research. Um, this is definitely something incredible. Like, people should know more about this. And
great
hopefully the FDA changes their mind soon, and you guys get to
to
you get
speak
like full approvals
freely.
and doing whatever you want. You already mentioned where to find you, iamreverseaging.com. Um, that's where they can find the product. Where can people connect with you?
Yeah.
Maybe is it just through the website, or is there another way
Yeah,
as
no,
well?
I'm on LinkedIn, Darlene Bennett Green. Green has an E on the end. I'm on Facebook, although if you try to connect with me on Facebook, you need to say, I heard you on the podcast. I get a lot
Yeah,
of hi, and I'm like, yeah,
Fair. Hmm.
no. So
awesome.
if you're wanting to chat about these kinds of things, I'm happy to do that. But yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm not really doing Instagram. I know I should, but I've only got limited
Do it.
bandwidth.
Yes.
I am a care provider. I'm still a full time person doing a regular day job, and my mom and my dad are 83 and 88, living right around the corner. So lots
Yeah.
of care providing going on in my world, and but I love this. I love this. I love this because of the difference it makes in people's lives. And I patched someone that was just unable to drive to me. Like I was like, if you come over, I'll patch you. She was in so much pain, and I said, I will drive to you. Drove to her and patched her up. And
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
following week, I saw her because her patches arrived. I basically gave her patches, and then her order came in, and I
Yeah.
saw her, and she looked 20 years younger. She was moving. She was up, down. She couldn't sit or stand. She could lie down. That was it. Like, she was just in so much pain. And she looked like a different person. And she is now sharing this with everybody. In fact, she's not even she's walking into places where she's been trying to get treatment forever. And they're like, what are you doing? What has happened? Like, what is the difference? What have you just done? And they're like, oh, I've been using these patches. They look like this. And they're like, I want some. Where are they? Like, it's just because they've been treating her for years to try to get her better. She had ciprotoxicity, by the way, from antibiotics.
Oh, wow.
Very severe response. Almost died.
Oof.
Yeah. All right.
Here's the new
Yeah,
forward. Yeah.
exactly. Guys, thank you for watching another episode of A to the Show. Darlene, thank you for being here with us. We salute to cover the camera. If you want, you can join us. And peace.
Ciao.
Peace out.